From News Channel 8, this is High School Sports Final.
Hello and thanks for joining us for High School Sports Final. I'm your host, Robert Burton. Lots of scores and highlights to get to. The Nationals opening day is Monday, by the way, so let's start with some baseball. Gaithersburg, undefeated on the season, ranked third in the polls and rolling. They returned some great players, including Nick DiCarlo, this week facing WOOTTON. Let's get to the action. WOOTTON and David Perutz fighting through adversity, already down 3-0 to Gaithersburg. Runner on first for Zach DiCarlo at the plate for Gaithersburg, and rips this. Matt Ainsworth pitch, and the ball gets all the way to the left field wall. Colin Smith on his horse, chugging all the way from first, and he scores. Wait, though, make sure you touch the plate. A stand-up double for DiCarlo. So after a bunt single, Corey Scholl at the plate, and he would rip one to the gap in left center. DiCarlo comes around to score, then Timmy Traynor also would come in, and just like that, it's 6-0 Trojans. So later, there's a runner on second for Aaron Vargas. And, you know, Vargas would take this pitch right down the left field line. Here comes the throw, and Scholl beats the throw. One more run for Gaithersburg, and they would handle business, beating WOOTTON, the final for this one, 10-0. And it's that time in the show where we honor one of the area's best. It's our Athlete of the Week, brought to you by our friends at iTility. We decided to go into the archives to find this week's athlete. And here's a flashback courtesy of ABC7's Tim Brandt.
Austin Freeman put on a shooting display in front of 3,000 plus at the Smith Center. Once Cardoza cut the Stags' lead to 9, Freeman nailed 3 straight three-pointers, and that was all she wrote.
I was just playing within the game, and my teammates found me. I just hit the shot.
He was feeling it tonight, and our guys knew that he was feeling it, so they made sure he got the ball, and he knocked shots down. I mean, that's what a big-time player like him would do.
So congratulations to Austin Freeman, our High School Athlete of the Week.
All right, lots of games to get to, and we're just getting started here on High School Sports Final. Up next, the game of the week, a battle of lacrosse giants. The number 1 and 2 ranked teams square off, plus a special game at Whitman this week. And don't forget, for the latest scores and highlights of featured games, you can log on to hssportsfinal.com. All right, our game of the night, let's go to lacrosse. Number 1 versus number 2, Landon and Gonzaga, 2 of the area's best lacrosse programs, squared off at Georgetown University. And the Landon crowd, of course, is hyped up for this matchup, number 1 and number 2 against Gonzaga. Let's get right to the action as the Eagles move the ball around to the back of the net. Luke McCaleb feeds Sam off it, and he fires a rocket to the back of the net for the score, but the Bears come right back as they are on a fast break of sorts, and this kid puts on the Jets as he sets up Joey Epstein with a nice pass, and he slings it in for the score. This was a hard-fought battle by both teams as Landon looks to score, but it's saved by George Christopher. Landon again looking to score as Joey Epstein comes from behind the net, sets up Clifton Rupp for the score. And this was a close game, but Landon squeaks out a win against Gonzaga, winning this one, the final 8-7. The St. Paul's Crusaders visiting the Bullis Knights in this matchup. The Crusaders with the ball as they play keep away with the Knights, and there's a shot on goal and a score right there. Bullis on the move as Max Mankus passes it ahead. Drew Pekovic. And Drew gets busy, sets his man up to spin back to the middle and fires a rocket for the score. Bullis wins a close one. The final for this one, 12-10. Well, the Whitman baseball team was in action this week taking on Northwood. The game was at Whitman and had a great supportive crowd, supportive in more ways than one.
year ago in late March, the Whitman community lost Bob Pomerank.
This week's Whitman-Northwood game had extra meaning.
He was really big coaching the kids, and a lot of the kids from 2012 and 13 and 14 when they were younger on t-ball teams and basketball teams.
Bob Pomerank was a parent coach and loved baseball, a love that he passed on to his son Alex.
He always wanted everybody to have fun. He never really cared about winning. We always did okay, but I think everybody had fun. Everybody loved him as a coach. He never liked getting down on people. It was just always fun to play for him.
Bob died last year after a battle with pancreatic cancer. He also left behind his wife, a daughter Leah, but Bob also left something behind for Whitman High School.
Bob and Alex, I think their first love was baseball, so we were lucky enough to get backstop padding, and we have a little plaque that we're going to put up and do a quick little ceremony for them.
So prior to the Northwood game, the community came out to honor Bob.
It's really important to my family. They know how much of an impact he had on this and how big baseball was to him. So I think they're proud of this day. And I think they've just been looking forward to it, and I think it'll just be a good day for all of us.
And they didn't want anything too grand, and we think this is nice and respectful, but low-key, which is what they would want.
Just one community giving back to someone that put so much in.
He coached a bunch of these guys, whether it was baseball or basketball, so everybody knew him. He was always around. He always came to games. So I mean, it's awesome seeing the whole organization come together to honor him, because I know he was important to them, he was important to me, and I just think it'll be a good day for all of us. It makes me proud. I want to do that when I'm older. I would love to do something like that.
So they played the game. Whitman trying to win this one for Bob, of course. Vikings pitcher Eric Wayman starts it off very well, getting the strikeout. Caught him looking. On offense, Wayman walks, then steals a base, and is in scoring position. Of course, Tyler Hogg takes Jose Sola deep to the gap in left center. Wayman comes around to score. There it is, and it's an easy double for Hwang. And he would later score, so it's 2-zip Whitman. One bright spot, though, for Northwood. Check this out. Jason Klingman. He would eventually go after a pop-up, and it would be in no man's land, right behind third base. Klingman with the long run makes the out. Whitman wins this one, the final, 10-0. More to come on High School Sports Final, scanning the area and the highlights from the show, keeping tabs on the best plays. We'll have our plays of the week later. And the Final Four may not have any local teams, but there is one player hoping to bring home a title, the story of Quinn Cook. And you have the chance to show us who has the most energetic and spirited high school. Log on to WJLA.com/spirit and tell us why your school is the best.
You're watching the High School Sports Final on News Channel 8. Trojans!
More baseball. Arundel, a strong baseball program, taking on good counsel. Andres Holzer takes this Ryan Benson pitch to shallow right center, and it falls in. It's called station-to-station baseball. Justin Van Steelen with shot to left field. Runners move up, but Arundel gets out of a serious jam. Wildcats turn to the bat. Look at Will O'Hara. Knocks this one to left field. Oh, you can hear that. Looks like it's a sure hit, but C.J. Miller makes a good running catch. Chris Kovalsik on the mound for the Falcons, and he gets Robert Colvin to ground right to short. The toss to second for the out, but Colvin easily beats the throw to first. Next batter, Chris Ford for Arundel, and Kovalsik gets the strikeout to win the game. Arundel loses their first game of the year. Good counsel takes this one, the final, 6-3. St. Andrews coach getting his team ready to go against Sidwell friends. St. Andrews is on the mound, and Logan Madison for Sidwell hits the grounder up the middle for a single. Sidwell now on defense after that. And check out Tyrone Patterson. He would deliver the pitch, and it's a slow roller. It's hit to third, and the third baseman tries to get that, but at second, but the runner slides under the tag. Again, Patterson delivering the pitch, but this time it's for a K. Then St. Andrews, that batter didn't like it at all, but hey, sometimes you get those. Patterson, again, dealing a slow dribbler. It's hit to third, and the third baseman is able to charge and get the runner out at first. Sidwell friends go on to defeat St. Andrews, the final for this one, 12-2. Well, the NCAA tournament, 3 of the top 4 seeds are still alive, Kentucky, Wisconsin, and Duke, and the Blue Devils have a Washingtonian leading them to the promised land.
Houston was amazing.
Janet Cook's road to the Final Four has been exhilarating and emotional.
It was a little bittersweet because I was thinking about Ted, my husband, who is now deceased.
Janet's son Quinn is a star guard at Duke. Quinn's father Ted got Quinn started in basketball very, very early.
He's been playing basketball since 3.
Ted died of a heart attack 8 years ago when Quinn was just 14.
The time that he put into molding Quinn, the leadership, the discipline.
Quinn went on to play at DeMatha and then to Duke. And now, as a senior, he's in his first Final Four.
To really be at that moment now where all that came together to put him in the position that he is to go to the Final Four, Ted missed it.
As the seconds ticked away Sunday, cameras captured a hug for the ages, Coach K and Quinn Cook.
It was breathtaking to see. He's thinking, Coach, we did it. Like team, we did it. But more like Dad, we did it.
Janet, Duke Blue nails and all, will travel to Indianapolis, and then a bigger day awaits, Quinn's graduation.
I think once we win the Final Four, yes, I said it, once we win the championship, I'll be elated. But I think I will be as elated when he walks across that stage.
Thanks to Tim Brandt for that story. Still more as we wrap up this edition of High School Sports Finals. Slamma, jamma, dunks, and dives, goals and blocks. This edition of Plays of the Week is right after the break.
Hey, Danny Espinosa, and you're watching High School Sports Final.
Remember, you can go to our Facebook page at High School Sports Final to select your choice for the play of the week. Jason Klingman from Northwood. Look at the shortstop make a long run and then get the out. How about that? Congratulations to him. Gaithersburg, Eleanor Roosevelt, Lake Braddock, James Madison, some of the schools that you can expect to see going deep in the baseball playoffs. Or so says our guest tonight. First up is Prince Grimes. He's a reporter for the Gazette newspapers. And Nick Ellerson, he writes for the Fairfax County Times. Guys, thanks for coming in. And first, let's talk about some of the teams and games that you've seen thus far, starting with you, Nick.
Sure. Well, I've seen a couple games so far this year. Unfortunately, I cover all the sports, lacrosse, tennis, everything in the springtime, so haven't got a chance to see too much baseball as much as I would like. But from what I can tell so far this year, Oakton really impressed me against Lake Braddock last week. It was kind of a surprise win a little bit. Lake Braddock, such a good program, but Oakton's got a lot of good players this season. Really took it to them and won that Bulldog Titan Classic last week for the spring break tournament. But yeah, I've seen some good teams. McLean really impressed me. You come out beginning of the season, you know, after such a harsh winter, these guys only had 5 or 6 practices outside, so I expected to see a real sloppy game. But McLean took it to their arch rival Langley and had 0 errors defensively, just looked really sharp. So surprisingly sharp baseball so far being played in Fairfax County this season.
Nice. And Prince, you're in Montgomery County a lot. Just kind of talk about the teams that are starting to stand out for you.
One of the highlights you showed earlier, the Gaithersburg game, I was actually there when they played Wooton. Gaithersburg is really good this year. Just solid all around. They pitch well. You know, they can score. Want to see a little bit more offense from them, but they're the favorite team. They were my preseason favorites to come out of Montgomery County, and they've lived up to that. Quince Orchard, I don't want to call them a surprise team because a lot of coaches thought they would be good this year, but they've probably been the best team all around in the county, in Montgomery County so far this season. 7-0, 4 different pitchers, a deep rotation, 4 different starters. They can score. Also want to see more offense from them as well, but Montgomery County is really good. Paint Branch is my surprise team right now. Paint Branch is 5-0. Want to see how they do against stiffer competition, but right now you can't complain about what they're doing, a .22 ERA, team ERA.
Wow.
So no one's scoring on them. Yeah. They had a pitcher throw a perfect game against Blake, so he didn't give up a single hit or walk or better that game. So those are a few teams to look out for out of Montgomery.
Now, you've talked about teams. Can you talk about some players in the area as well?
Yeah. Well, Nick Paintos from Gaithersburg, he's a pitcher and he plays in the field. He's actually doing both at a really high level right now, preseason All-State player. I don't remember what his ERA is, but it's really low, 3-0 record. And he leads the team in hits, so he's helping his own cause. He does a little bit of everything. Quince Orchard has a outfielder, and I feel out of place kind of talking about an outfielder with so many pitchers on that team.
Right.
But Carson Knight is a name people might remember because he's the quarterback of Quince Orchard's football team.
Okay.
But he's their best hitter right now. He's hitting like 500, leads the team in hits right now. Pitcher from WOOTTON, Matt Ainsworth. He's the guy who Gaithersburg kind of got to there, but the WOOTTON committed a lot of errors that game.
Yeah.
So, you know, he didn't lose a game last season. He was 7-0, 1.19 ERA.
Well, that's why he's in our highlights, man.
That's why.
We got to put him on TV.
So that was a bad game for WOOTTON, but look for him to bounce back. Andrew Asher from Georgetown Prep is really good. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to Davidson College. Those are just a few guys to look out for.
Yeah, and in Fairfax County, a hotbed of talent as well. Do you have any players that are sticking out to you?
There's players everywhere, man. You're right, it is a hotbed. As usual, Madison is throwing everything at everybody. It's such a deep pitching staff, very athletic team. They actually lost 7 of 8 defensive starters from last year's team that won 22 games in a row. But they still bring back a lot of talent, just the deepest pitching staff probably in the region. And they got guys like Pete Nielsen at shortstop and Jimmy Goldsmith, Brian Eckert, all kinds of guys. Just a really good team there in Madison. It's going to be really tough to beat those guys this year. I expect a lot of things out of them. Battlefield has a sophomore named Tyler Solomon that's just a beast. The kid is 6'4", 220. He's probably 15 or 16 years old. He's their catcher, just crushing people right now. So he's a scary talent at Battlefield, which should be a really good team this year. They lost to Madison 10-1 this week, kind of a surprise letdown performance, but otherwise good start to the year. And yeah, there's good players all over the region. Though.
That Madison team, my producer just said, sounds sort of like the Nats a little bit with that pitching staff. And,
no, they're good.
Yeah. And Prince, you cover a little bit of Prince George's County as well. Just kind of talk about some what's going on over there, man.
Well, one, you got Riverdale Baptist.
Right.
Probably one of the best teams in the entire state, not just Prince George's County. And they do everything well. That's just a hotbed for college talent. Right now, they're 9-2 on the season. Yeah. So Riverdale Baptist is really good. New coach, Ryan Terrell. He's been around, though. He's been the associate head coach. You know, he's just taken over for his father. So not much changes there. They're going to win games. Roosevelt, 5-0. They pitch really well. They beat Wise, they beat Flowers. These are 2 teams that are supposed to be 2 of the top teams in Prince George's. So Roosevelt is actually beating stiff competition. They're the best team in the county as far as public schools go. They need to produce more offense because they barely beat Wise, barely beat Flowers, whereas Wise destroyed Flowers yesterday. I was at that game. Wise beat Flowers 17-6. Pitching was pretty impressive, and that's something I don't think they expected to be great at. They can score runs. So Wise can score a lot of runs, and they just need to play defense better. Committed a lot of errors. Flowers shouldn't have scored 6 runs on them. Flowers scored 6. Only 1 was earned. Whereas Wise scored 17. 10 of those were earned. So even though it was a lot of errors for Flowers too, Wise still scored a lot of runs. Bowie is always good. Bowie's probably the second best team behind Roosevelt. They haven't played anyone yet though, so they're destroying like Douglas and Parkdale. Want to see what they do when they play a Wise, when they play a Roosevelt.
And quickly, individually some players that are sticking out?
Well, you got Miles Wolford. I just want to bring him up because everyone knows he is.
Bring him up, man.
Football player.
Right.
He plays right field. He's committed to Virginia Tech, but he's been really impressive. You got a lot of pitchers in the county. Brody Cook, he's a guy for Riverdale Baptist. Not only does he pitch, but he hits well. Kind of like Paintos from Gaithersburg. He leads the team in hitting, and he also has a very low ERA. I want to say it's a 0 right now. The 2 games started, he hasn't allowed any runs.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. And Nick, some big games coming up. Can you give us a little preview?
You know what? There's always a lot of there were a lot of big games this week with spring break. A lot of good spring break tournaments. You had a bunch of teams from Fairfax winning tournaments. Madison came close in a big one down at the Mingo Bay Classic down in Myrtle Beach. Came up a little bit short against a team from California today. So otherwise, a great performance from them, though. McLean won their tournament. McLean's looking real good. They got a kid named Caleb Beatty, who's just, you can't hit on this kid. I mean, they're just not even throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
He had 9 walks in the tournament this week that they played in. There's, so many good teams in this area. You got, Oakton with Joe Rizzo is another talent. The kid.
And I hate to cut you off, Nick, but we're running out of time.
Sure.
And I know you want to keep going because we're just getting started with the season, man. But that's all we got for High School Sports Final. Thank you for joining us tonight.